by discussing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Democracy Day speech at the National Assembly. Well, on Thursday, the president, while addressing lawmakers, urged Nigeria's security agencies not to harass citizens for criticizing his government, reaffirming his commitment to protecting democratic rights, particularly the right to free speech. The president told Nigerians in his speech that they could call him names and he will still stand up for democracy to defend citizens' rights to do so. Let's take a look.
Do not be afraid to bear an unkind word spoken against you. Some of the best advice a politician gets sometimes comes from his most ferocious opponents, if they think well, though. We do not seek silence because the imposed silence of repressed voices may breed chaos and ill will. While malicious slander and libel should not go unattended, no one should bear the brunt of injustice for merely writing a bad report about me or call me names. Democracy requires a fair degree of tolerance for harsh words and stinging insults, particularly when they are pained because of their losses. Call me any name. I'm not here to make you happy politically, and I will still call upon democracy to defend your right to do so.
Well, all right, fantastic. I'd like to take a reaction, if you can pull up that reaction. And this person wrote, "That's the spirit of true democracy, where we don't have to agree to coexist. Thank you, Mr. President, for acknowledging every Nigerian's right to speak. Even when opinions differ, we'll keep holding on to that freedom as we push for a better Nigeria." I think that's a very positive reaction and good for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to say that, he defends the right to free speech. Well, in that whole address, Tinubu also paid tribute to the heroes of Nigeria's democracy, including MKO Abiola, and highlighted his administration's efforts in economic reform and national security. He urged lawmakers to support his pro-industry and pro-agriculture legislative agenda, stating that he wants to make agriculture sexy by introducing tractors. Vimbai, we saw that story, make agriculture sexy. I love that comment. It did trend all over social media. Meanwhile, a former Bayelsa State governor, Seriki Dixon, criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Thursday over the emergency rule in Rivers State and the continued suspension of Governor Sim Fubara in celebration of the 26th anniversary of democratic rule. Dixon said the president missed the chance to redeem his government and clear it of wrongdoing, adding that Tinubu cannot celebrate democracy while suppressing it in Rivers State. Let's take a look.
But you cannot be celebrating democracy. You cannot be flaunting yourself as a Democrat on the one hand, and on the other hand, be trampling democracy under your big presidential foot in Rivers State. The president missed a golden opportunity to raise and deepen democracy in Nigeria by restoring on today's Democracy Day democratic and normal civil constitutional rule in Rivers State. Of all the things the president said, the president was silent about Rivers State. And today is about democracy. It's not because of Fubara's nationality. It's not about Fubara's party, if he has any. And these days, you can't even be sure which party people belong to. But these are issues about respecting the democratic rights of the people of Rivers State under the Constitution. So I'm disappointed, firstly, that the president never said a word about the undemocratic developments in Rivers State, which he has enabled, which he has brought about, which he has sanctioned, and which he continues to sustain, and creating an impression as if all is well. No. As long as any part of Nigeria is under military rule, Democracy is endangered in Nigeria as a whole.
Rufai, I think Dixon there is on point.
Very, very on point. In fact, more than on point. And we've always said this. President Tinubu claims he's a Democrat. But are some of the things he has done, are they democratic in nature? No. The state of emergency is one, and it's a dark spot. But on the flip side, you still saw Fubara going to visit him and say Daddy Oyoyo to him. Probably things might panning out, he might return soon. But the fact that that was done in the first place is a blight on this country. Because if I remember correctly, the same President Tinubu did make his voice heard when Olusegun Obasanjo did the same. In fact, the argument then was the reason why Olusegun Obasanjo could do the same was because he had a military past. Then Goodluck Jonathan also did the same, but not at this level of removing the governor. And people argued. And now President Tinubu, that is totally civilian, has also done the same. So, Sierrake Dixon is 100% correct. The next point I'm going to make this morning is also, in as much as I thank the president and I appreciate him for recognizing these people, is also the loud omissions we saw in that list. I have a lot of people that I'm happy about in that list, the likes of Kiki. And like I told him, I will no longer call him Kayode Komolafe Kiki again. I will call him OON. And anytime I call him that OON, there are implications. That's just it. So OON. So I'm happy about that. But the loud omissions, people like Sowore. Sowore was a man that used his youth to fight for this country and fight for deepening democracy. If Sowore is about 54 today, he was about 22 years of age then.
Right.
Where he was fighting. The likes of Dele Momodu that had to run. The likes of Kayode Fayemi, the likes of the entire crew of Kudirat Radio.
Right. Speaking about Sowore, what about his thoughts about, defending free speech? Because, Sowore has been one of those huge critics of this administration.
Yes.
What did you make of the president's comment about
See,
the right
the president can talk. There's a difference between speech and action. Oji, I tell you this. Do you know how many cases of journalists that wrote stories that have been put in security gulag that have had to intervene? Is it because we don't come out and say most of these cases in public? That we've had to intervene? That's why a lot of people criticize me and say, Rufai, you don't do anything for this government. They don't know the things I do to repair this government's image in the background. And I will just call those in authority and say, see, if this is coming, it's going to be a blight on your administration. So fix it once and for all. Do you know how many I have dealt with? So the president can talk about right to free speech. Are the people working for him, do they listen to what he says? Don't they have their own mindsets? And that's why I put it, do you know how many I said, please, if this gets out, you will not like the blight on your administration. So please, the president can say, what do you expect him to say? He will say, you can abuse me all you want. But it's in the implementation, like they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
It's in the eating. Well, all right.
So it's not just about saying, he's standing up tall. And that's why we stand up against the president when the state of emergency thing happened. The likes of Dele Momodu, the likes of Baba Femi Ojodu. Yes, some people argue that he had been given national honor before, but these are people that should be appreciated. I will also say to Egbo Bayo Onanuga
we have a section for that.
A big congratulations to Egbo Bayo Onanuga because he truly deserves it. Egbo Bayo Onanuga suffered for democracy in this country, and I give him his honor. It doesn't mean I don't disagree with him when it's time, but congrats, sir.
Well, the president also mocked opposition parties, stating that it was indeed a pleasure to witness the parties in disarray. He advised them to examine their internal processes rather than blaming the APC for their crisis, dismissing the notion that the APC is attempting to establish a one-party state. Tinubu highlighted his own history as a lone progressive governor resisting a one-party state attempt in 2003. He added that the APC will be guilty of political malpractice if it refused to accept those seeking to join the party.
At this point, I plead for your indulgence so that I may put a terrible rumor to bed. To those who ring the alarm that the APC is intent on a one-party state, I offer you a most personal promise. While your alarm may be as a result of their panic, it rings an error. At no time in the past, nor any instance in the present, and at no future junction, shall I view the notion of one-party state as good for Nigeria.
But still on Democracy Day, former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi took a swipe at the Tinubu administration, accusing it of hypocrisy and playing politics instead of addressing the needs of Nigerians. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja on Thursday, Obi said the government has spent the last 2 years manipulating narratives and shifting blame rather than delivering measurable progress. Let's take a look.
It is most troubling that in 2 years in office, the present government has brought our nation to the point where our leaders now celebrate and endorse failure, lies, and propaganda. The government today, rather than show genuine accountability and measurable progress, focuses on manipulating the narratives, gaslighting the public, shifting blame, and weaponizing governance. Meanwhile, Nigerians live in a worsening and worrisome insecurity, widespread corruption, hunger, and general despondence. There are no clear benchmark for measuring tangible development as we continue to witness the collapse of key indicators like education, healthcare, and poverty alleviation, which are the parameters for measuring national progress.
All right, Dr. Abati, opposition leader there, saying that the Tinubu administration is playing politics. This is what we've been hearing.
Well, the thing to note, because some people may make the comment and say, why is Peter Obi making the rounds? He has appeared on our channels, TVC, News Central, and all of that. Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar also issued a statement on the occasion of June 12. The thing to realize here is that this June 12 is for all of us. It's not only government, it's not only the ruling party that has the right to comment on it. And that's why you have opposition leaders also expressing their views. Earlier on, we quoted Engineer Yabagi Sani of the ADP. Now we have Mr. Obi on the screen. If you check the papers, you also see statements by other leaders, including Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar. Now, what did Mr. Peter Obi say? He said, look, 20 million Nigerians, according to WHO, have mental issues. And that's a frightening figure in a country where most of your psychiatrists, they've gone into political appointments, or some of them have abandoned psychiatry. They are running barbing salons or hotels, or they have become farmers. 20 million in this population. The figure may even be more than that, because the way some people behave, you see that they actually need the help of psychiatrists. Mr. Peter Obi made a point that, look, Nigeria has the largest number of children suffering from malnutrition. I guess he must have been quoting UNICEF. He says there is hunger in the land. We don't need to be told that there is hunger in the land. He says there is poverty in the land, walking on stilts. We don't need to argue with him over that. In other words, he was confronting us at that press conference with the reality that, look, Nigeria is still a work in progress. Where people may disagree with him is to say, what Tinubu has been doing since he got there is to play politics. That may be a very harsh assessment of the administration. And I think the administration has done a very good job in the last few weeks of advertising what it has been doing. Even the legislature, we have 2 senators on this program this morning. They were very defensive in saying that the National Assembly has been very productive. But, I don't want to go into the details of helping the Tinubu administration to counter what Mr. Peter Obi has said. There are enough people who have been employed to do that job. And I believe that in due course, they will come forward. But it's good to have both sides of the coin. More so, as President Tinubu says, he doesn't mind criticism. More so, as he says, you can call me names. I mean, it's your right. I would defend your right to call me names. What is not allowed is malicious slander or libel. And that is the point to be made. And I think that President Tinubu, that portion of his speech should be, should be specially carved out, and copies of that portion of his speech made available to all the people working for him, including ministers who like to abuse people, including governors who like to arrest anybody that criticizes them on social media. That look, this is the spirit of the Tinubu administration: tolerance, unity, people realizing that other people have rights, and that right includes the right of bystanders and busybodies like us. So the president has empowered us now. Go ahead and talk. Criticize me. I'm ready. So you have been energized. You have been empowered by the president. He said, anybody that says, we will tell him, the man who has appointed you has given us the power. He has reminded us of our right under the Constitution. No, but the president spoke publicly. No, he slandered that the president says he doesn't want. No, but slander and libel are not even allowed. Yeah. But I think the spirit of it, tolerance, no dictatorship, no one-party state. I think that the president spoke well along those lines.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the fact that, look, robust democracy, participatory democracy. That is the spirit. It's now for the president to walk the talk and call people who do not believe in his ideas to order, to behave themselves. Otherwise, that would be an endorsement, a presidential endorsement to do otherwise of banality and gagaism.
Well, all right. Bimba, your comments on all the stories before we head over to Ogun State.
Well, very quickly, I felt that Democracy Day could have taken a more of a unifying tone. I think that people were looking forward to hearing a message of encouragement. Yes, it's not the president's duty to help the opposition. The opposition is in disarray and they need to get their house in order. However, in the spirit of the day, I think that those who are accusing him of politicizing the day somewhat may be more in order because the bystanders were really looking forward to something more, something that deepens the spirit of democracy. Having said that, to the statements by Senator Seriake Dixon, which were very much on point, there's a picture circulating online right now, I'm sure it will soon be verified, of Governor Simfubara sitting on the same couch as Minister Nyesom Wike as we await developments. Yesterday would have been a fantastic day to announce that, all is well, the issues have been settled. However, this is the sticking point that we continue to wait for resolution. Another of the sticking points in the spirit of free speech is that op-ed that was shared by the diplomatic community, which spoke to the issues around the Cybercrime Act and highlighted the case of Dele Farotimi, which remains an issue that will be highlighted under this administration. It's on their track record. So it's very important that this administration is able to do all that's necessary to ensure that there's no recurrence of such instances and that the words spoken by the president, as Dr. Abati has said, as Rufai has already said, are lived, and that those who work beneath him and around the administration also walk the talk.
Interpretation of the Yoruba adage I was saying, Bami no mo mi ko deno olomel, means when somebody says, help me beat and discipline my child, they don't really mean it. Be careful. That's all I said.
All right, I'll say we're in a democracy and we'll just continue to observe the rules of democracy.